Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another session of the D2C Summit, India's largest D2C and e commerce conference. We've had an amazing round of sessions today. You all have been an amazing bunch yourself, engaging with them in every session. Now, I have a question for you all. How important do you think is a consistent and personalized experience when it comes to new age brands? Tell us in the chat box. Almost two-thirds of the consumers want a seamless and consistent experience across all channels, but only one-third say they actually get it. Today, a consumer is spoiled for choices and has multiple avenues to share their concerns, feedback, experiences through bots, calls, and reviews. This plays a major role in preventing consumer churn. To talk in depth about how a D2C brand can scale with perfect digital consumer experience, I'd like to welcome Sonia Kaul, VP, Product Marketing and Digital Enablement at Carex. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, how are
All right.
you?
I'm good. I hope you're doing good as well.
Oh, yes, very insightful sessions today.
The stage is all yours.
Great, thanks so much. So I'm very excited to be here. All of you have been actually part in listening to some of the speakers here and listening to, their stories on how they have scaled their businesses and how they've come so far, what their learnings are, and yet what their challenges remain. So we're going to kind of look at a very holistic 300, probably a 60-degree view of what really drives a really good, delightful customer experience, right? And I'm going to start with something that happened to me as recent as, a few days back. So obviously we were house hunting for a few of our friends and trying to get some kind of a personalized assistance, to help us look at a house close by. And what we find is that after we sign up for the service, of course there was a lot of nudging that happened while we were visiting the web and looking at various properties on the website. Clearly when there is a time to engage, the whole experience was completely not what we thought a modern digital engagement platform would offer, right? So there was clearly a message which was sent out to us, and there's also some of the snapshots of the interactions. They're not really holistic, and but it will give you a view of how disjointed even in these times in a digital experience the disjointed customer journeys are, right? So that I get a text say that I have an RM who's going to help me look at the house, and then I'm supposed to click on a chat which would actually help me through with a complete interaction of what I was looking at rather than having a voice call. And then when I try to chat, obviously there's no response. And then when I go, this is on an SMS to a chat. When I go on the website, obviously the systems don't recognize who I am. They have no idea that I have actually come through a text message. And when I approach for an assistance on the WhatsApp channel that they have on the website, obviously it's again completely, does not recognize me. So when a user does not really experience a brand holistically, right? We talk about omni channel today, and we talk about this experience which is supposed to be the same across any channel that the customer comes. And then here what I think we've learned today, that connecting data with communication becomes the story, right? And then this goes to show, obviously this is an Inc. 42 story, that there is an opportunity, a $100 billion dollar opportunity today to change this landscape, to create the customer loyalty, to create that engagement, to create that personalization, where we are able to plug this gap, right? And then really create a seamless experience. We're going to deep dive a little bit into some of the ways that we've kind of implemented it, some of the learnings that we've had working with some of the brands, especially in the e-commerce and the emerging business space. Um, And some of the learnings of our how we've connected business process automation, how we've connected marketing automation, how we've really collected customer attributes and then use them in various campaigns and use them in personalization, across different channels. So clearly a lot of things to learn today. I can't even begin to imagine, we're talking about D2C, pre-COVID, post-COVID, how it has changed. But if you really look at Lenskart, and I really get inspired by by their story, when they've started out almost a decade ago, when nobody had really heard what D2C was. It wasn't a buzzword at that point in time. And these guys really came and really defying all odds. They actually disrupted the entire traditional live air channel, right? The way they have clocked revenues over 300 US dollars now. It's like, and it is not just digital, it's really become a digital story. It's something that they have done so different. We'll probably a lot to learn from there, right? I think one of the very key things that they have put, right into place with their whole business model is putting customer first, right? And obviously looking at, therefore, whatever attributes are there that are coming out of a customer interaction, customer engagement, passive or impassive, right? Whether the customer comes on the website or whether he is on the app, whether he's walking into a store, how is all of that data getting connected? What insights is the business actually able to derive out of that and then use that data effectively to really communicate, and target and acquire and cross sell and upsell, all the buzzwords that we've heard through the session today. So obviously, every business expects that, I'm going to collect customer profiles, I'm going to build a unified view. That's the way every business starts. And then we're going to segment it properly, and then we're going to automate those segmented profiles, and build micro segments. And obviously there were stories of, in between, that we're going to create so much micro segments of one, that we will be actually able to deliver that kind of hyper personalized service, right? And truly become omni channel. But obviously this is not happening. You've seen from my first example clearly, there are a lot of manual interventions required. Data from multiple sources is not still connected. It is still very, very siloed. And I think we are all following that, six blind men kind of, trying to figure out what the elephant is all about, right? Somebody is, touching the trunk, and somebody is touching the, the tail, and each of them is coming out with their own interpretation of what the elephant looks like. And unfortunately that's what even we've experienced with brands. We talk to, whether it's a marketing department, or we talk to the CRM department, or once we talk to purely the acquisition or the loyalty functions, they're all trying to make sense of that big elephant in their own way, right? And then that's what we help the customers to do, is trying to actually look at why data has become so important, and why we should have it all in one place, and why it should be integrated, and how it should be integrated with the channels of communication. Not to just send out one way responses, but also to look at what those user responses are on those channels, then use that feedback, bring it back into the data lake, and then continue that cycle all over again. um, it is, of course, a lot of things that we have to do. I think one of the key parameters today to really define, what are the three pillars of creating a holistic customer journey, to deliver that experience, is clearly uh, figuring out what tech stack, should we adopt, right? Is this going to be something which is legacy, something which puts everything front end, back end, all in one package and gives it to the organization to start with, or is it cloud native? It is API ready. Kind of what the new headless commerce is all about, right? Does it connect to the channels very easily? Does it take the responses back from the users into the platform as easily, as it would from an online channel? And then how do I use that data to really connect with all my digital campaigns, and as well as all my offline campaigns as well? The second part, of course, is using this technology, right? And then we'll kind of go on into this in a little bit, where we are trying to figure out what are the ways, how does really content define that engagement? How do we use it in our communication, right? Today, when we see a plethora of social channels being easily available, right? Are we using the content which is available on the website for this engagement on when we are doing our ads, for example, right? When we are sending out, let's say, for example, an SMS, or we're sending out something on WhatsApp for the user to really engage, click and engage with it, right? What does that content really talk? How does it connect to the audience, right? So some of those things, are very, very important. And also to look at how does this technology, how does this content then really drive innovation at the different channels that are available to a business today. And by innovation, I really don't mean you have to really create like a whole robotic experience, but it is these small steps, that you do that are going to really create those moment of truths for the customer, right? um, for example, can we look at, so I was actually hearing, when I was in the US, I heard about this incident, uh, uh, pretty similar to Lenskart, right? We have heard of the Warby Parker website where they sell eyewear as well, and they were trying to figure out, in their initial days when Twitter had opened up as really a channel to bash or complain against brands, right? People would simply, type their complaints there, and they could not figure out how to really get responses out to the users within the character limit of, let's say, 140 characters, right? That's the limit. So they came out actually with a way to connect with their customers, and they put out these how to or help content in the form of small videos, and they put these videos on YouTube, and then they put the links on Twitter, right? So that anybody who had any issues can actually go to the link, and watch the help guides, on YouTube. So these are kind of these personalized small bits of innovation that will really go a long way in really creating that, true customer loyalty, or earn that customer loyalty, from our customers. The other very, very important aspect that I've seen, in my personal experience and also working with a lot of brands, is that the voice of customer needs to be really captured holistically. And we're not talking about, just at the end of any journey, which means whether I've taken a flight at the end of the flight, or whether it is, after I've purchased a product, or it is after I've received the product, right? Probably very important milestones in a customer journey with the brand. Every customer touch point is important, right, for taking feedback. And this feedback can go in different ways of product innovation. It can go for improving the logistic cycle, improving the payment options which are available there, looking at probably even the refund process, right, which is available today for customers. So this feedback loop, again, we've seen from our experience and talking to the customers, very, very important, tool to kind of incorporate within the product and the customer experience. The other ways that the technology today we've seen actually influencing a lot of, or changing a lot of customer habits, is of course cross channel buying, right? And then we've seen how discovery of the products today is happening all over. I mean, it's happening on Insta. From Insta, people come and discover the smaller brands, or even larger brands today on the web. Point is, if it is a smaller catalog of products or a smaller bouquet of services, can I really give the customer my first experience of the product on Insta, right? Or can I enable it on WhatsApp, right? Can we bring the customer not just onto the web or not just into the store, but also really make that ordering and that fulfillment really across different channels. um, Again, contextual experiences, and when I say contextual, means very, very relevant. If there is something like we say, I mean, and then this is very, very cliche, any customer interaction, on the web, on the app, how quickly are we able to really harness that and then be able to use that for the nudges across the life cycle. Any experience that he's had, like I said, if not just buying, right? If it is that feedback loop that we are actually setting up, as I mentioned earlier, this really is an experience. This really is a way to connect with, again, with the brand, right? So, hey, is my website, you've just wandered off the website, did you find it difficult to navigate, for instance? And then take feedback, and then also look at different ways to nudge the customer. Loyalty programs, again, something that I've seen enterprises really invest heavily into. One of the best ways to build customer loyalty, customer retention, getting them to buy more. But again, the usage of it is really not omni-channel, right? There are always, even today, for example, I get messages that I have XYZ number of points available with me, and I can go on and redeem these points, but there is no way to actually interact and find out, what is my tier, how much do I need to buy, and then kind of set that context when I actually go on the web, and I'm able to kind of redeem that. So really having that on demand whenever we want it as users becomes really, really important aspect, of making the points available, keeping it very transparent, making it really easy to redeem, and making it, of course, very relevant and attractive. Some of the other things, of course, today, in fact, technology is the way payment industry has really changed and transformed, at least in the last 3-4 years, is everybody is aware what has happened with UPI and with digital transactions, and incorporating a lot of those within our omni-channel buying experiences becomes very, very critical. And we'll also showcase some of the ways we are now trying to incorporate, very seamless buying. And when we say seamless buying, we really am talking about something that can be done in, what can be done in 2 clicks should not go to 10 clicks. And there are classic examples of these kind of journeys where, we're supposed to actually pay a bill, right, for let's say a broadband connection or something. If I'm not on Paytm, or if I'm not on any of these wallet companies which already have my history, if I actually come onto a brand's website and try to pay, for example, my broadband, it is at least an 8 to 10 process, or step process, right? So how to really make embedded payments work, which is, reduces that friction, is critical when we are evaluating how to really streamline the experience. Shipping information, of course, again, very critical. I think one of the best experiences shipping is to reduce the delays, and we've got a lot of now delivery organizations that have really become unicorns in their own sense, but really giving the flexibility of rescheduling, giving the flexibility of tracking the information without taking the user to a page where I have to enter my airway bill number, does not make sense. So I've personally, as a user, interacted with a lot of such scenarios where my package is supposed to come today, and waiting, and I want to track it, and I'm not able to track it because obviously I'm not going into the app. But if I really just click on the link that has been sent to me on an SMS, or it has been sent to me on WhatsApp, it does not populate the order number, and it does not tell me where it is unless I really go to the brand. There's just no point in sending that communication out with a link if I'm not able to do anything with that link, right? It is just a redirection. So, so that is one thing, and of course, the responsive customer service, right? I think the customer service today has become very talked about, but at the same time, highly underrated. Aspect. We talk about on-demand customer service being available. You call a call center or you call up, any IVR. The wait time is nothing less than 5 minutes, and we've seen a lot of different ways that the support can be offered on web. Support can be offered on WhatsApp. However, again, the systems don't, come together to really provide a very holistic experience. So, unless the brand is really obsessed with it, having all the information, which is not only related to CRM, which is not only related to logistics of, what the customer could ask. All of that has to come together and then be available in a responsive channel. These are some of the ways where we have seen where we, at least as an organization, are helping enterprises to kind of look at us, of course, how do we define various entry points and make them interactive, right? It's all about interaction today. So when I say interaction is when you want to place an ad on Facebook, or it goes on Insta. Like I said, is there a way for a customer to enter your brand and become your customer, right? Is there a way to interact and make a fulfillment possible on that channel within that engagement that you're having with the customer? uh, all the other searches, whether they are happening online, whether they are happening offline, is there any way to really unify that data? Today, when we go to stores and we're looking for certain offers, do we have, let's say, the simplicity of a QR code that can, give the ability to let me know what the offers are within that store? Typically, this is always told to us at checkout. There are so many times when we have shopped for X amount of money and we are about to check out, the teller will tell you, hey, if you shopped for 2000 more, you would probably get, so and so voucher. Why couldn't that be communicated to me while I was shopping, so that I'm not hurried and I, shop for what I need and add more, right? So these simple, ways to kind of keep that customer engaged, and of course, at the same time, ease of buying from the brand becomes really critical, right? And when we classically come to the omni channel buying experience, right? I think today, if we look at Domino's, for example, it is no longer a pizza company. It's no longer a food company. Uh, it is actually a D2C, a really classic example of how they've used technology, how they've used innovation, how they use engagements, and truly an omni-channel way to be able to deliver a pizza and order a pizza and deliver a pizza to you, right? Whether you order it in a store, you order it on any social channel, you go to their website, you do it on their app, you have Alexa order it for you. The way they have streamlined all channels into that one single way of getting the order done and executed is completely flawless. So I think they're really, a success story in my mind of omni-channel buying and customer experience. And in fact, the offers that you get, if you are a diehard Domino's customer, you're very personalized, and they know what you want. They kind of look at the data, they look at make sense of what you have ordered before, transactional data, and then kind of send you those offers accordingly. uh, in fact, uh, one of my friends is a complete pizza eater, especially when the IPL season was going on every weekend. There was actually a customized offer that these guys had sent out, for him, just because they had mined the data that every Saturday or Sunday there would be a huge order coming from from this person. So therefore, obviously, this takes us back to the same story that for D2C, while there is a mix of D2C which is digital, right? There are some which are only available online. There is a mixed model, a hybrid model of servicing offline as well. Mobile first customers have become used to that, that experience and that. Availability of the brand, kind of, just in time, always on, whether it is product information, whether it is buying, whether it is, any kind of transaction, it should be available to me on the mobile, right? So again, if we're looking at creating a mobile first experience, I think connecting anything to do on the mobile becomes very, very important, right? So using the channels, whether it is social, whether it is offline, uh, is critical, and how that really ties up with the data, again, becomes very important. So creating those segments, using the right partner who can really help you in that growth and that scale, is critical. Somebody who can offer you a complete integrated offering when we're looking at, okay, a bulk SMS provider, does he have, or do they have something that can actually, connect back with data and be able to provide you a little bit more, conversational, in case you wanted to extend that journey into a conversation. Do they have, an omni-channel commerce available if you wanted to really extend that service further on? So really looking at, when you're choosing the technology partner, it really becomes important to see, how you can scale and really integrate all the offerings together, right? So that data is in one place. It comes together, to really form a good platform to be able to render seamless service. We look at some of the, you know ways that we can actually increase customer acquisition. We can look at the entire cadence within a customer life cycle. So let's say that, how do we really make this more engaging and more powerful? So user, let's say, comes onto your Facebook ad, and then what? He selects, he's interested, and he clicks on the ads, he clicks on the links which are there, and then what happens, right? So that journey of actually making use and then creating the customer profile, right, who's interested, I'm sure there are a lot of ways that those people are landing up on your website, and but again, the website, unless they don't sign up, that user information is still gone. So are we looking at, creating some kind of, a button where the user, whether he's on Insta or Facebook, can actually come on WhatsApp, right? And once he comes on WhatsApp, you have user numbers with you, you can capture exactly what they're looking for, connect them to a back office agent or a sales agent, or who can give them more information about the product. And is it possible for us to even, conclude and make him buy within that engagement? So that's the power of, today, that we're talking about connected experiences. And this is an example of what I was talking about, right? Are we using certain channels effectively to be able to convert our social spends into real customers, right? um, we see QR codes everywhere nowadays. Again, as product information, for feedback, for even, initiating a buying journey. So placement of this, whether on the product, whether on the carton, whether on offline shelves, is cannot be overlooked really as an entry point into um further engaging with the customer and actually utilizing the that connect that you've made with them, and then try and really convert them. Again, we see, similar things happening in case, like I said, if there is a certain lead gen that we want to do, we want to actually capture that customer's interest. At least in that micro engagement, we should be able to give the customer what they're looking for, right? So these are some of the ways where a lot of communication today, which is happening purely one way, there are emails getting triggered, which nobody reads. There are, SMSs that get triggered, again, probably landing. These are critical information. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, but have you really looked at, getting it into a more, interactive channel, let's say, for example, WhatsApp? And then what happens once he comes there? Is there an interaction which is built out, right, which can actually fulfill the journey there? Right? Is that intuitive enough? Are you measuring where the customer will bounce off there, just like you measure on the website or on the app? Are those events configured to go back into your marketing automation or your CDP platform to further fine tune customer attributes, and then you know make your marketing campaigns a lot more targeted? So these are some of the examples, what we can do on conversational, using the data, of course, intelligently. um, must say that, of course, WhatsApp now has become a channel which is uh, very, very conducive to commerce. They are bringing out a lot of new catalog features in this, not just for small businesses, but also really looking at harnessing that entire, uh, brand's dilemma with a lot of cart abandonments, for example, or a lot of nudges around wish lists that you want shoppers to convert into real dollars, right? You're talking about, nudging your lurking customer, a person who has come and really not interacted with anything. A lot of drop offs when they are actually trying to buy something, right? Which is the friction that's created at the time of making a payment. So these nudges and fulfillment of that here really is the power of the conversation. And again, not to take away, not just loyalty and offers. If there are offers that can actually be converted into a transaction, getting that journey map constructed and creating that flow, and then and fulfilling that becomes very critical, right? So these are some of the options. And I, before we really get into a couple of videos to show some success stories and to talk about some success stories that some of the brands have shared with us, we want to spend a minute and kind of look at what we were talking about, embedded payments, right? So again, there are a lot of ways that customers are transacting. We are giving them a lot of options. Brands are getting today a lot of options, and they're providing that to the users with integration of various payment gateways. But looking at a way to embed payments in the transaction becomes really important. And if we look at what we offer to a lot of brands on WhatsApp now, is fulfillment within WhatsApp. So if there is a cart abandonment email, rather than taking the customer out and making them pay again outside of what they have clicked on and what they want to really engage with at that particular moment, is not a good idea. So getting them to pay there in 2 clicks and 3 clicks, and you're all done, right? So this is something definitely worth exploring. um, So we thought it was pertinent to kind of talk about Nika for a bit. I mean, they've been in the limelight, of course, of the recent most successful IPO we've seen, and our journey with them began almost, it's about, I would say, 5 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And so it's truly amazing how they actually mine customer data using our platform, how they create minor segments of it, how they actually use those in various campaigns, not just for personalizing, not just even to look at certain category based communication that they send out to their customers. Even if you look at certain affinity based campaigns, that they share, that they send out to their customers, um, we've really seen a huge uptake, with this customer using data correctly. And one of the classic examples is when we were trying to do that hot pink sale. This was really a very focused, targeted campaign being done. And with the platform, usually, that of course they have a huge base, right, that they wanted to target, upwards of, I would say, about 50 million or so. And there was a weekend campaign that needed to be go out with a lot of exclusions, right, that had to be managed. So working on that amount of data and sending that campaign out within 30 minutes or so was actually a nightmare of an execution. But this was something that we were able to accomplish with the right tech, with the right, of course, people coming together, creating how this needed to be done. So this actually resulted. Nika was very happy with it, and then we had one of the managers actually talk about, how they were able to make this a huge success even within the organization. Um, so the other example here that we want to definitely talk about is how one of the brands has leveraged WhatsApp to really drive in traffic into their store. They were actually doing a voice campaign with a certain set of users, and obviously a little bit of nudge to try out a similar kind of a campaign, nudging their users for offers during a certain weekend. They were able to actually gather the same amount of leads or interests or customers who actually wanted to explore products in the stores at pretty much the same engagement rate at 10%, 10x the cost, lower cost, right? So this shows the power of really having a very integrated kind of a channel story, and using all that data that we have. Next time when there is a target focused campaign going on, which users would prefer voice, which users would prefer WhatsApp, which users are more looking at their SMSs and then responding, uh, that obviously becomes a much more effective way to communicate with the customers. Now, if you're looking at another, like I said, customer service, again, very underrated aspect. Always looked at a cost center by most brands, but I think this is a way to actually transform the whole customer experience with your customers, right? This is a way to actually look at how you position yourself as a new age brand, always on kind of a service for the customers. Here, what we did was actually we not only brought the marketing and the sales related use cases for the brand live on an interactive channel, but we also um, made the entire installation process available through WhatsApp, and also the complaint management service was also brought on WhatsApp, which means that users did not have to wait when they called a certain number to log a complaint, but it was actually available on WhatsApp. And also fulfilled. So there was a complete service ticket number that was allocated to the customer. There was a complete field management process that was linked with Salesforce, giving the customer complete visibility on when the technician would come and actually attend to the complaint, right? So I'll play a small video, just kind of highlighting that, to give you a sense of how powerful this channel was and what were the kind of ROIs that the brand has seen, creating this complete integrated solution. Hi. Okay. So I am pretty much done with this. If there are any questions from the audience, I would love to take that.
So Sonia, we have a bunch of questions that audiences have asked. Would you want to take them
Okay.
up?
Yeah. Sure.
All right, great. So firstly, how do brands try to maintain a sense of authenticity and genuineness when they communicate with customers?
So I would say, obviously, content goes a long way, right? The value prop of brand has to come out, and that's what brand positioning is all about. So it's very important. For example, when we talk about, look at the success of Mama Earth, for instance, right? Their whole value prop was that, honest uh, cosmetic skincare brand, right? Chemical free. So I think a lot of it really comes out in not just the content that you're trying to create, but really content related with communication, right? When I'm browsing a certain category of products, right? At that time, is there a nudge from the brand to give me a little bit more content and really tell me, for my needs and my requirements or my age group or for a certain, with a certain gender, is this the right product? So I think that authenticity is not established just with the value prop of the brand, but also the entire cadence of communication that they set up with the customer through the entire life cycle.
All
Right,
right.
and that's why we talked about feedback loop. Taking that feedback and really creates the authenticity of the brand. If I've received the product within 7 days, has the brand really cared to ask, did you like the product, right? Are you happy with it? Is there any feedback for us? Was that cream a little bit too creamy, or was it, does it need to be of a little heavier consistency, right, or a lighter consistency? So I think that really sets the tone for how the brand wants to connect with you more than anything else.
Very true. Very true. One other question that we have is that how can D2C brands leverage technologies to enhance customer support, which are the integral part of customer brand journey?
So there are a lot of ways to, of course, look at it today. Especially D2C, they don't have a lot of resources while they are in the growth phase to look for a very large, exhaustive CRM. So even if it is a tech that they have built in house, or there is, a smaller tech that they're implementing as a holistic CRM, I think it is important that it is API driven. I think it is important that it connects to all channels seamlessly, and then you're not just sitting and wasting resources and exposing basic information of the customer or taking information from the channels into the system, right? So obviously, API driven tech is very very important. Connecting it and making it available to all the channels is very important, which means that, do I really have to invest in a very heavy duty call center infrastructure, or can I make a bot do the heavy lifting, but make it an intelligent bot which can not just answer a very superficial question, but is able to actually take the data from CRM and able to really finish the transaction there and then. That becomes very important too. So leveraging API based technology in the backend and connecting it with channels, and of course, whether they're humanized assistants, whether it's a botified assistance, but designing the journey in such a way that you're able to fulfill it within that interaction itself, and not let the customer go through hoops of calling you again and again. Reducing the cost, I think one of the best ways today we have seen brands adopt, especially post COVID, when call center staffing became such an issue, right? Because of the lockdown, I think brands realize that getting support on an interactive channel, whether it was a web, whether it was their app, or not everybody downloads the app, and therefore to be available on a channel like WhatsApp, where it is a very personal channel, and if you have service available there, which users can access to immediately anytime, on the go, becomes very important.
Very
That's
true.
a wonderful way to reduce cost and make it available anytime.
Very true. Yeah. All right. With Google Chrome ending support for third-party cookies in 2023 and privacy laws like Europe's GDPR becoming more common, where does that leave D2C marketers?
Everybody says that mining first party data is going to become critical, right? I think that's the headline that everybody is talking about. So I would say that obviously getting a platform where you are able to unify all customer data becomes critical. Is that channel, is that CDP good enough and not expensive enough at the same time, which can really sustain you to the next level of growth, is very important. So picking up the right tool, which can really mine your extensive data, not just from the website, but any customer touch point, right? So not just an online, but even if it is offline, coming through, let's say, Excel files, coming through different systems where customer is given feedback, or given feedback about, how the transaction happened, how far out did the delivery happen, etc. Putting all of that together in a data lake and then mining that data, it will be very, very critical.
Okay. All
So
right.
investing in that tech will be, of prime importance for any brand going forward.
Right. One thing that comes out of it is what I wanted to ask. Um, I mean, whatever you spoke about incorporating that, how costly would that be?
Um, sh- just depends on the customer base, but it is, if implemented right, it would be, not a costly proposition. Um, so depending on the customer base, the pricing is available today for most of such platforms. So yeah.
All right. Okay.
And today we see all of them are pretty much quick to implement kind of a platform, right? Doesn't need a lot of resources to deploy. One can go live in as less as 2 weeks and integrate with your website and get going.
All right. Okay. One other question. So, what are some ethical considerations to keep in mind when interacting with customers across various platforms, collecting certain customer data at each turn?
So I think customer privacy, of course, is very important. Um, so we at Carex firmly believe that data, and especially the communication that you do with the customers through different channels, right? Whatever data is collected, is of course stored in a way that consumers want it, the way brands want it, right? So it largely is governed by how brands are wanting to store customer data, how shareable they want that customer data to be, right? What are the framework that they have created? At the end of the day, technology is only an enabler, right? a lot of it kind of gets structured by how brands want to design that, the user privacy. For example, I would say there are a lot of brands which do not reach out to their customers if the user has not chosen to be communicated, right, via it is an SMS or via it's an email, and they give and they flash out those opt out details very very clearly. And there are some other brands which kind of take a very implicit in opt in, and then depending on how they want to use that data, they will reach out to their customers. So we've seen it entirely depending on the brand, and the technology will kind of suit to fit in the framework which is defined by the enterprises.
All right. Okay. Uh,
But having said that, I would say that today a lot of this data is become, for example, for a lot of our customers, we've already started offering even consent modules where you can store data in a very very secure manner, where you can even store their opt-ins and opt-outs in a very secure manner. So yeah, so that framework has to be defined by the brand.
by the company itself. Okay. All right. One more question. So, most companies are forced to work with multiple sales channels, marketing automation systems, and data sources that may not be intercompatible. How is it possible to integrate all of that to create a seamless customer experience?
So, yes, that's true. A lot of brands actually, like I said, have different silos of technology that that get created as they kind of grow, right? So, important thing is to really create, a unified data lake at least. It doesn't have to be very exhaustive, or have a platform which is not just a marketing automation platform, but has some elements of a basic CDP, from where data can not just come from online sources but can also come from offline sources. And those offline sources can be campaigns that you have run, right, user responses on the clicks that you have that the users have responded to. It can also be a transactional data that has come from your offline channels like your stores, etc. Again, creating and unifying data from that can be done. And if you are interested, we can actually sit down and have a discussion with you how that can be created with not a very exhaustive platform. You don't need to invest a lot, but at least have the right technology to bring it together and then be able to use it effectively in all your outreach programs.
Okay. Great. Great. I think all of our viewers would be really, really excited to hear your point of view on all of this.
Like I said, I'm very, I have been listening into some of the speakers, and it obviously turns out that, everybody is facing pretty much the same challenge. Is right. How do we get data of the users, in a manner where we are able to mine it properly, and then we are able to, um, uh, you know, get more out of those customers? How do we drive revenue out of our existing customers? How do we keep our existing customers happy? How do we drive customer advocacy, from them? Because at the end of the day, these are the customers who are going to get in five more customers, right? The power of referral is very, very strong here. So I
Yeah.
think important to leverage, first of all those product and feedback loops. That's very critical for sure. And again, like I said, and somebody also, had that question, how do I integrate all of it together? So talk to us and we'll help you integrate it all together.
Very well said. Very well said. Wonderful. I'm so happy that we sort of attended this session because so much to learn. So much, truly.
Right, we are very excited to be. We're going to be listening in again, and obviously capturing a lot of feedback from the sessions that is going to happen tomorrow as well. And yeah, very very kind of keen to understand how Inc. 42 really summarizes the key takeaways from the summit, and then we can strategize with our partners and our customers accordingly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sonia, for taking
Thank
out your
you.
time for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
session. It
Thank
was
you.
great
Thank
having you
you.
here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Before signing off, make sure that you're subscribing to In42 Plus to get access to in depth reports, articles, and startup deals. All of the sessions from this conference would be available soon over there at D2C Academy. Until next time.